Hi, everyone. So this video will get into what Pear Deck actually looks like and what it's all about. So essentially what I've got here, and you'll have to excuse me, this is going to be very clunky because I'm going to try to navigate between three screens so that you can kind of see what everything looks like from all the different perspectives. So just a minute while I'm trying to close this screen out here. So what Pear Deck is essentially is it's a presentation software. It's basically Google Slides, but with some interactive features built in. All right, so first off, what you're gonna notice is that Pear Deck has already been installed. The district purchased a license for everyone in the district. It's their premium account. So it has pretty much all the features. And you won't see it right away. In fact, even though you see it on my screen, you're not even going to see this where it says Pear Deck at the top. It's going to be underneath here, and sorry, it's a little hidden, but it's going to be underneath add-ons. If you go to add-ons, listed there should be Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on, and what you want to do is open Pear Deck. And right now I'm in Google Slides, obviously. So I've already pre-made a slideshow. You can either do it during, you can do it after, you can use pre-made slideshows. So this is just an add-on. You can just use Google Slides as you normally would. Now, what I'm going to cover right now is these questions. These are all the questions that can now change your normally just static Google Slides, slide by slide presentation into something more interactive. Now, at this point, I'll preface this with, I am new to Pear Deck also, which is kind of nice because I'll be bumbling through the same things and hopefully you'll avoid the bumbles I've made. I normally use a program called Nearpod, which is essentially the same thing, but hey, since the district paid for Pear Deck, I might as well give it a shot. All right, so you can see here there's 6 options: text, multiple choice, number, website, draw, and draggable. I'm going to go through an example of each of these so you can kind of see what it looks like from the presentation perspective, the teacher perspective, and the student perspective. So again, I apologize if this is a little clunky. I'm going to try to navigate between 3 different screens. All right, so first thing you need to know is I've already set this up. We'll talk about these later, but I've already set these up for these different questions. So this first one, actually, let's go here first. First thing you need to know is that if you're going to do this as a Pear Deck presentation, interactive, you don't want to hit the typical present button. Okay, you have to open up this add-on and then do start lesson. Okay, it's different. Now you'll get a choice here. And I've already talked to teachers, we're kind of doing both. Student-paced activity means the same presentation, the same interactive nature. You can see the kids doing things as they're working, but the kids can go at their own pace. They can advance the slides when they choose to. They can go back and forth. So this might be something that's more of a asynchronous learning where the kids are kind of doing it at their own pace on their own time. I've been using so far it as an instructor-paced activity to kind of back up the discussions we've been having in class where I can pose questions verbally and on the screen and then have kids respond to me. So I'm going to choose this one for this presentation. I'm going to start a new session. And so it'll start up. And you'll notice it'll start up a second screen. I'm going to set this one aside for a second. Okay, so if I go back here, okay, this is the screen. This is the presentation screen. In distance learning, this is the screen you would be sharing on Zoom. In the regular classroom setting, this is the screen you would put up on your projector. Now, this other screen that came up, this is the dashboard. This is what only the teacher sees, either in a separate window on their computer, or like I'm lucky, I've got 2 monitors going on right now. So for me, I would be sharing this screen on one monitor and I would be sharing my dashboard. I wouldn't be sharing my dashboard at all. This would be on another screen that kids couldn't see. Now, you can do this differently. I'm actually going to close out this dashboard because you can control the whole thing from here, from the presentation screen, but you don't get to see all the student results. So down here, these 3 buttons, I'm going to open up the dashboard in a new window and just do what I was doing earlier, but there is the option to open the dashboard in a new device, meaning a separate computer. So maybe like in the classroom, you've got this on an iPad or a tablet that you've got at home or a second computer, and you don't have 2 monitors. You can still run this from a different device so that the kids don't see this part. But for me, since I've got two monitors, I'm going to do open dashboard and new window. And so these are my teacher controls and where I get to see the kids working. I'm going to slide this off and I'll kind of go back and forth here. Actually, no, I can leave it right here. All right, and then finally, I'm going to take this login. Here's how you have the kids log in. Up in the presentation, you can click on this and it gives them the website and the code. But a faster thing, especially on Zoom, is I can just copy the link and throw it in the chat. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to copy the link, and I've got a third window open here. This third window is going to be my fake student. It'll ask me how I'm feeling today. Oh, and by the way, I've already logged in with a different email. Okay, so then once it gets going, here's the student view. All right, so let's take a look at this first one. This first one is the text response. I pulled, so on the projector or on Zoom, whoops, keep doing that. This is just a template slide I pulled out. This could be anything you want to do. It doesn't have to be their templates. I observe blank, describe what you saw or what happened. So maybe you just watched a video, maybe the kids read a passage. Here's where they can respond. So up on the Zoom, up on your projector, this is what the entire class sees. And notice you can control this from this point here. But if I look at the dashboard, I can see more. I can see all the upcoming slides. And right here is where I'm going to see student responses come in real time. Here's what the students see. They see the same screen, but then over to the right, there's a place for their text response. So they can take some time, write out a thoughtful response. Now notice, right now, nothing is showing on the presentation screen because the teacher has control over that. Now, you can choose in the dashboard to either show the responses as they're typed in. So if I click this, as the kids type, it will appear on the screen and I can scroll back and forth. And I can either look at it in list view or in grid layout. Okay, but let's say you don't want to see you don't want the kids to see the responses as they come in. You can hide the responses. But then what you can do is as they come in, you can scroll back and forth, you can look at them, and each one has this little star icon. You can actually star it. Now there's other things here which I'm not going to get into, like the feedback and some other stuff here. But this star is what I like so far because I can star that and say, hey, I really want to share that. Okay, they're still not going to see anything on the presentation screen yet, but I can get ready. So as kids type stuff in, I go, ooh, I like that one, star that one. Oh, I want to discuss that one, star that one. All right, so then when I've given the chance for the kids to finish, if I need to, I can lock their screens. And if I lock screens, they'll see this on the screen, meaning, hey, stop what you're doing, let's pay attention. And then whichever ones I've starred, I can show responses. So instead of seeing all the responses up on Zoom or up on the projector, I'm only going to be showing the responses that I've selected and picked out. And everything's anonymous, by the way. My kids are already used to this. We've done this twice. They know that whatever they share, it's anonymous because half the time I'm sharing good responses. Half the time I'm sharing mistakes because that way we can discuss those mistakes and learn from them. So everything's safe. The kids know that no names are attached to these. They're always going to be anonymous. Okay, we scroll through them, we discuss them, and then we can move on to the next question. All right, so then let's take a look at another one. I'm going to go back to my teacher dashboard. Again, this is the screen only I can see. I pick my next slide. What the kids see on their computers is my next question. And again, I just pulled this from their template library, but this one is a multiple choice question. Do you feel comfortable sharing your thoughts out right now? And there's these 4 choices. I'll click on one. Again, on the presentation screen, nothing changes because I'm controlling what shows up. All they're going to see is the question. But on my dashboard, I'm going to see this. Multiple choice doesn't show individual responses. Instead, it shows a tally. So I can either choose to keep this hidden and wait till all the scores come in. I can, and it's a choice whether you want to lock the screens or not before you share. But either way, you can then show the responses, and up on the projection screen, there's the tally of all the responses. So in this case, you're not going to see individual results, you're going to see everything as a bar graph. So here's the next type of problem. This is numerical answer, handy for mathematics. So let's say I had done this slide, and again, not pulled from their template. Over here on the chalkboard, we'd see a problem, instructions to the left. This is, again, the presentation mode. This is what we see on Zoom or on the projector. Here's the dashboard. I can see the slide over to the side here, but I'm just waiting for responses here. And once again, here's what it looks like to the kids. Okay, they solve the problem, and then they can enter their number here. Okay, and obviously it shouldn't be text, but it still allows text. Or they can just click these arrows and move through the numbers. And notice it's just set for integers, negatives, positives, no decimals, things like that. They'd have to type those in by hand. Okay, and so that's numerical. And then what we see here in this case is it tracks with little dots where the numbers are. And so you get this kind of, it's not quite a bar graph. It sort of almost reminds me of a box and whisker plot, which not everybody knows about. But essentially, as things get typed, let me change this to 12, you'd see little dots here, and we'd start to see where the numbers come in. So it's really good to kind of look at it and see where the average dots are laying. So this, rather than a single answer for an equation, this might be something where, you know, what's your comfort level in class, range from 1 to 10 or what have you. Okay, and you can change all these as well. So think of it that way. Think of it as, you know, where we're looking at numbers, but we're not looking for one answer. We're looking for an answer within a range, trying to get an average feel for what people are voting for. You know, how many siblings do you have in your family? That kind of thing. All right, so that's numerical. All right, and this next one was the website option. So on my dashboard, I'll click there. On the dashboard, I am not going to see the website. It says, what did you notice? So maybe it's some kind of interactive website or a video or what have you. Up on the screen, same thing. We're not going to see the website, but in the student version, we are. And so here, notice there's no place to, no place to enter anything. This is just in their head thinking. There's no place to enter any text. So it's not really a question per se, but it is a place to put a website. And I'm going to go full screen on this for a minute so you can get a better feel. Now since it does shrink the screen down, there isn't a lot of room to work here. So that makes it a little difficult. But, you know, I went to this site. This is a kind of a widget site that mathematicians use. Here we're looking at Pythagorean theorem. And so you can use the website within Pear Deck. And so that's what that looks like. And as far as responses, they're really, darn it, I switched screens again. You'll notice here, there is no place for responses. This is strictly just showing a website, a lot less interactivity here, but at least you don't have to go to a separate link to see the website. Okay, and then here's two that I pulled from my recent lessons. This next one is a demonstration of the drawing option. And so once again, here's my dashboard, which only I see. Here is the presentation screen. And there's my slide. And then here's what the kids see. And they can enter in drawing, text, whatever they want. The instructions here were to draw in the right triangle. Okay, so there's my right triangle. And once again, in real time, not here in the presentation, but here on my dashboard, I can see student entries roll in. And certain ones I like, again, I can star to show later. Or if I don't star any of them and I click show responses, then I see everybody's and they're all anonymous. All right, and the final one, dragging. This basically puts in draggable items. Here's the dashboard. You're just waiting for responses. Up on the presentation screen, this is what we see. These are the 4 choices. And it's a little hard to see here because it doesn't show up, but let me see if it shows up on the student one. Down here, it says students, drag the icons. And I felt this kind of weird that the icons only showed up in student view. And there wasn't really any way to place them from the teacher perspective. So I kind of had to make sure my numbers lined up over here. I color coded them though to make it easier, so the numbers don't move, but the icons do. So here I'm trying to have the kids place the numbers according to where they should go on this Venn diagram. And so they place these numbers based on the different icons. And again, in real time on my dashboard, I can see those entries come in. Now, in this case, what's interesting is you can look at it multiple ways. I can look at it as a list. I can look at it as a grid, or I can look at it as an overlay, meaning that everyone's answers get stacked on top of it. And so I can look at it as a class. So if there were more students here, I'd see more hearts and stars and circles and triangles on top of each other so that I could get a general feel for how the entire class was doing with this particular one. All right, and I forgot to mention that it's on the drawing one too, that if I do the stackable overlaid layout, I can see all the drawings on top of each other so I can get a general sense of the entire class's work rather than scrolling through them. Now, again, of course, you can look at it in list or grid layout and then star the ones you like and then present those to the class. And again, once you present, then on this screen, you see those examples anonymously shared. Okay. All right, so that's everything that you will get to choose from as far as making some of your slides in your Google Slideshow interactive. Now, also keep in mind that you can have regular slides in here too. They don't all have to be interactive. If you just want to show something without any interactivity, you can do that. You don't have to make everything a question. Now, there was one other option that you may have seen just below the question choices where it says add audio. So I tried that out too. Haven't used it in class yet, but I put it on this slide. So up in the front, you would see this where, oh, I'm still sharing. Hold on a sec. Hide responses. Up in the corner underneath the code, which is kind of an awkward place to put it, it says audio included. If the student view, if down here on the right, there's a headphones icon. If you click on that, then you can play the audio that's been recorded for this. For each number shown, drag the... And so all I did there was I put some instructions on what they were supposed to do. But you can add audio in and just the icons down here for the students in the bottom right. Okay, so that's how you make your Google Slideshows interactive. That's what it looks like from your dashboard perspective as the teacher, and where you have control, locking screens, starring and showing responses, even putting in an on-the-fly prompt. What you can do with this one is you can kind of pick from what's here and just get a very generic prompt that you can just throw out in the middle of class. And so that sometimes when those questions come up on the fly that you hadn't planned for, you can address that. And then here's what it looks like from the student perspective. And of course, what it looks like up on the, whoa, where'd that come from? Up on the screen. Okay, so that's a little bit about Pear Deck. I hope this helps somewhat. I always find it easier when I know what it looks like from all the different viewpoints, including the student perspective. But if you have any questions, let me know about this. There's one last slide in this tutorial where the video I talk about is just some little detailed things that I've discovered so far.